Not for humans. I think I might just I need to do it again and say not for human consumption, don't I?
I know that you can't see it, listeners at home, but I do have ridiculous facial hair.
I fell out of love watching those. I was like, I don't want cider anymore.
In 3 days after my crucifixion, I'm gonna roll back that motherfucking stone, and I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna come out and go wherever I go.
And welcome to another episode of the Neutral Cider Hotel podcast. I am your host, Mr. Gabriel Cook, and coming up a little bit later on the show, we'll be chatting with entrepreneur and original cider saviour, Mr. Simon Wright. And finally, there's going to be a new SpeakPipe voicemail question we'll be answering to wrap up the show. Lovely job. But first, big props to James Finch and Adam Wells for their new venture, Cider Review. We have kind of mentioned it a little bit. It's a fantastic platform, website for more long-form pieces about, what's happening with the world of cider, lots of reviews. They've done a taxonomy. It's an amazing resource. Do go and check it out, cider-review.com. And they've recently had a launch party on Instagram. And, it got me thinking. And first of all, the Neutral Cider Hotel didn't have a launch party, which is sad.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bit sad. Would anyone have come? I don't know. It was...
Well,
probably little Pomona and Tom Oliver would have been there.
Well, quite possibly. Several times over. They would have looped back around and come back in again. Bringing a new bottle every time. Or just pinching one and then coming back around, quite possibly. So, I don't know. Just, I wonder, what would the Neutral Cider Hotel party look like?
Whoa. Going back in time.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Look at this.
Here we are.
Nice. Good lights. Good lighting. Nice. Floor's a bit sticky.
A little bit sticky. Sorry, that'd be my fault. I didn't put a bucket on the floor.
Of course it would be.
Sorry.
Many, many times over. Mm-hmm. Can you hear any? Is that someone at the door? Are there people coming?
Is this our first guest?
It's our first guest. Welcome. Come in. Welcome to the Neutral Cider Hotel. You're always in for a warm welcome here. Would you like, we should probably start with a drink, shouldn't we? There's a few different options. If you're interested in there's a special punch over here. It's lovely. It's from Scotland. It's got lots of twigs in there. It might be potentially to your liking. I don't know. What do you think? Yes? No?
Is that the palliative cider that we have on offer tonight?
I think we've got some in the cupboard. It does induce a wave of a soporific nature that never ends. So you've got to be careful with that one. It could be end of days.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Have we got a band playing though, right?
Well, you mentioned the music. It's absolutely cracking. His name's Banjo Pete.
Banjo Pete.
This actually it's not even the day job. He works for the UN, don't you know? It's amazing. We got him. I know. We got him over. It's pretty cool.
Oh my God!
That's lucky us, eh?
Well, food-wise, guys, I've prepared two things: oysters and peasant salad. So I used a tomato knife to chop that all day.
That's my favourite.
Oh. Could I just say from personal experience, those tomato knives, they can jump about a bit and be a little bit cutty on the finger. Yeah.
We do have we brought in the professionals to set up the badminton net though. So if you do fancy a game throughout the night, just go into the next room there. There's a badminton net set up for anyone that pre-cut. We don't want any injuries.
Yeah, no, they don't want any blood on the floor. So food, drink, music. Looks like we've got it all covered there. So come and enjoy the party,
please. But could everyone just avoid the bin in the corner? That's where we keep the Foxwhelp content.
So, yeah, well, just would have been a bit shit, really, wouldn't it? Maybe it was just as well that we didn't have one and that we just let the content speak for itself. And you, our lovely listeners, you are always welcome. There's always a party here at the Neutral Cider Hotel, and you are always welcome. All right, that'll do it for our opening segment. Now, let's see what's happening in the news. And now, here at the Neutral Cider Hotel, it's time for this week's news. But before we get on to discussing the hottest topics of the day, we are going to open up a cider, have a little taste, and that will be our liquid soundtrack for the rest of the show. So what have we got? We have the Pearson's Dry Cider. I've sent a bottle of this off to the boys too.
Hello, yeah.
What do we think as a bit of a kickoff?
Yeah. The first thing I will say, I saw the label and I thought, oh, Turner's have had a rebrand. It's very in line with a couple of producers. Obviously, simple typography, looks nice, looks clean. But first thing, just lovely strawberry-ish, fruity number. Like very easy.
Yep. Really fruity, really... I mean, it sounds silly to say this. Apple flesh, stewed apples, apple pie, beautiful, easy.
It's admirably kind of like dry, and there's definitely some spiciness and some elements that would be maybe a bit challenging for some folk, but part of the reason why I kind of like it. And it's quite broadly available. It's in Mid-Shires Co-op, I do believe, so you can get it across the Midlands.
Yeah, American listeners, yeah, you'll know the Co-op chain in the UK.
You know the Co-op.
Of course.
There's a particularly nice one in Wolverhampton. Go check it out next time you're in the
exactly
Black Country.
where that is. Yep.
Yeah, very good.
And also, quickly, it has the apple varieties on the bottle, which I love.
Oh, and you know what? And they also list the yeast strains that they use as well. AWRI 350 and PDM.
Shout out to the PDM fans in the audience.
PDM massive. Yeah. But this is good. This is the kind of stuff that we enjoy on labels, being informative and educating the consumer to allow them to make more informed choices. All right, on to the news. So I'm going to kick off, and I saw French cider brand Sassy San Diego. No, they're not from San Diego. They're from Normandy. Sassy has launched. I got carried away. I was just excited by the alliteration. Sassy Normandy doesn't quite have the same ring as Sassy San Diego, but that's factually incorrect. So Sassy, they've been in the UK for a little while. They are a very modern, contemporary interpretation from a packaging point of view, presentation certainly of Normandoise ciders. But I quite like what they do. Often there's a lot of sort of, controlled fermentation such that not all the sugars have been converted to alcohol, lower alcohol, higher kind of sweetness. And going into 220 Majestic stores. For those who aren't know, Majestic is a big UK and nationwide wine store predominantly. They've got a few beers and a few sort of mainstreamish ciders in there. So this is a bit of a departure, something a little bit more elegant, something definitely more aimed at the wine drinker. 220 stores across the country, the Rosé and the Brut as well. So this is, just for me, it's just another step on the road to getting more people more interested in cider. So it's got to be a good thing. There we go. Moving on. Who's next? Martin.
Oh, it's me.
What have you seen?
I think we're actually a bit behind on this news. So it was in Bristol Live. It says Bristol's Cat Cafe to reopen as a cider bar. So the boys at Beard and Sabre.
Hang on. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you without. I mean, there's a headline if ever there was one. Cat Cafe shut, so cider bar opens.
Yep. Unfortunately, they've had to put all the cats to sleep. So it is a very no.
Whoa. I mean, I hate cats, right? But that's bad news to be spread and false information like that.
Well, all right. So I have no journalistic information on the lives of the cats. I love cats, but yeah. So all I'll All I'll add is Beard and Sabre, the boys that focus on hopped ciders, are going to be opening a bar in Bristol. So it's just, again, if Sassy being a Majestic's another way of getting people involved, having something that's more hyper-specialised and a nice cider bar in Bristol, can't be anything but good news.
Amazing. You know, the more cider opportunities for punters, especially in Bristol, being that proud cider city that it is great. But with that twist of being the hopped ciders, not the traditional, something completely different, it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on. Very best of luck to them too.
On the note of a hopped cider, I'll jump in with my news piece. I was alerted to a cidery based in the US announcing their new flavoured cider, and I don't want to position myself as anti-flavoured cider. I know I've had some seemingly quite strong opinions on it previously on the podcast.
Called out Pineapple Mike on the previous episode.
Yep, that was you. Thanks for putting those words in my mouth. But it was recently Cidery announced their new flavoured cider, a Tom Yum cider. Exactly what I thought, Martin. Thank you for backing me up.
What? Will you explain what that is for those of us who don't know what Tom Yum is?
It's an abomination, and that's the only word that we need to use to describe it, right? Because flavoured cider, let's put flavours in cider that are there to enhance the flavour of the apple variety, or that have been proven to work well in other drinks or meals or flavour.
In Touch 2 in stores now, yeah.
Exactly. There we go. In Touch 2. Probably not selling well, Martin, if you're mentioning it a lot of times already. Sausage Perry, what are you going to say?
Sausage flavoured Perry, sadly, dearly departed.
I just can't get on board with something like that. It's a soup, all right? For a start, it's a soup, and it's a brilliant soup, and it's probably one of my favourite soups, and I like soup. But I'm not, what is next? What is next? Like, are we gonna? I like Branston. I really like Branston pickle. Okay, do I want it in my cider? No. And am I gonna try it? No.
Let me knock you sideways here, Grant. Did you see Northern Monks collab with Seabrooks Crisps? Cheese and onion lager.
Oh,
are you serious?
Yes, we're alive. Cheese and onion crisp
that's
lager.
It though. So this is another thing that I've not being someone from the beer industry, but having seen a lot of beers, or maybe over the past year or recently, where I'm like, why are you doing to that? And we've spoken about this before, Martin. What are you doing to that beer? Why are you doing that? Like a roast pudding, roast beef.
Yep, same
Yorkshire
same
pudding
brewery.
beer. Was it? Yeah, the jam roly poly.
Northern.
I'm not. And it's not. That's not cider, in my opinion. It's not. I don't want a minestrone fucking sweet coppin or like brown sauce Yarlington Mill.
How did you not say Brown's sauce? Oh my god!
Just
minestrone sweet coppin.
Well, let's.
It should be. It should, flavored cider as a category is a great and innovative thing, but that I'm not okay with that.
Yeah,
it's just it's not all right.
Well, let's say this: a couple of years ago, Wild Beer Co. did a Tom Yum beer, but it worked well for that because it's a recipe-led product beer. You're producing it all in and brewing it, and it's obviously served cold, so it matched it, and it's a bit spicy wild. Bit gimmicky, but it worked. But in cider, is there a place for it? And I mean, listeners, please just send in a speak pipe with your recommendations of recipes. Brown's sauce and minestrone. You're taking
minestrone. So is Scotch broth, Yarlington Mill. That's my
Mulligatawny Major coming soon.
Well, do you know actually? And in a previous episode, Gabe, you brought up the curry, Massaman curry, as a joke when we were talking with Felix about the coconut flavors.
Yeah,
you then all of a sudden a week later, there's there is a soup cider. I just nah.
I am
sorry.
prophetic. I am prophetic.
Prophetic.
And you are profanity laden, Grant, and we love you for it. Actually, just interesting though about what you're saying, and Martin, about the recipe and the potential for construct. When I was at Weston's 10 years ago, there was like an archive of previous products, and I think in the early 2000s or in the late 90s, they did do a cider with lemongrass. And some of the aromatics, I think it did kind of work kind of well, but there was a simplicity to it, and also not the over kind of like gimmicky nature to it. And everybody's going to have an opinion on whether they like it or not. But actually, that was sensible and I think worked.
Yeah, I wouldn't put apple juice in my tom yum soup. It doesn't work that way around either. So,
well, let's end the news on a high note. Actually, Scott, you got anything to add, baby?
Yeah,
I do. Little North American
Baby.
cider news.
You had.
Baby.
Did you not get the memo, Grant? That's how we're referring to Scott now.
Baby
We
Scott.
don't use his name. We just call him like baby doll.
Sweet baby Scott, handsome Scott,
Yep, that's me.
small ham sandwich Scott.
Nope, that's not right. So over here.
Seriously? No, not right.
That's not right. In North America, this is Canadian cider news, actually. Are you familiar with the brand Thornbury?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Gabe,
No,
I figured you of all Thornbury Village, Canadian cider maker. And they are celebrating, along with the legendary Canadian band, The Tragically Hip. Familiar with them?
No.
This is a great news piece already.
Yeah. Now we know how you feel for every single news item.
This is pretty much all the shows.
This is payback. This is just
What's going to be good? This cider maker is going to be like the opposite Little Pomona. So when they meet, they're like the exact same team, but from the other place.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
But what about them, bud?
So Tragically Hip has their record from 1991 called Road Apples is turning 30, and Thornbury Village decided to make a cider called Road Apples to celebrate the 30th anniversary of that album.
Oh.
And most importantly, if anyone has been to Canada or knows, Canadianese, the term Road Apples is what they call horse poop. So it's a weird thing to call both an album and a cider, but that's where we are.
I love
today.
that. That's
My
brilliant.
album is quite literally shit. Is that what they're saying?
Yes.
I mean, that's British levels of self-deprecation there. It's quite remarkable.
I'm now taking that phrase to use in everyday life. And I can just leave the toilet, say to Jay, watch out, I left a couple of toilet apples in there.
Toilet apples.
Toilet apple. Well, yeah, or garden apples. Oh, Freddie's just done a garden apple.
Oh, I did. I thought the context was you're having a shit in the garden. You're like, oh, garden apples. However drunk I am.
Could be. I mean, this time it was Freddie, but next time.
Code Brown, Sula's done a bath apple.
A bath apple. Exactly. This is good. I love apple equals
if it was floating, a bath apple. If it sinks, a bath pear. That's the way it rolls.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and here's just a final little sort of quiz nugget for you, Martin, Grant, Scott. Do you know what brook apples are?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
What are they?
no.
They are when a cider maker uses water, as in a babbling brook.
Oh, Martin, very, very good.
Not included in Touch, by the way. That's not why I know it.
I was going to say, how do you know that? How do you know that?
Brook apples on tap at Pearson.
Which cider maker told you
It's
that?
not really.
No, it's actually one that I got told ages ago when I was at the Cock Tavern. I was like, what the hell are these brook apples that people are joking about? And it's when you realise that cider makers are just esoteric nerds, and that's why we love them.
Indeed it is. All right, that'll do it for the news. Now it's on to our chat with the original saviour of cider himself, Mr. Simon Wright. this week's interview. Entering the Neutral Cider Hotel today is a man who could be considered the most successful cider entrepreneur of his generation. Having spent years working as a marketing manager for AB InBev and Green King, he had a desire to establish his own drinks enterprise and chose cider on account of its untapped potential. From a small archway in East London to a bigger archway on the Bermondsey Beer Mile, Hawke's Cider quickly became a byword for bold and contemporary branding, fresh modern ciders, and London's finest taproom. Having attracted the attention of Brewdog back in 2018, our guest left the company last year to pursue ventures new. So let's see what's on the horizon. Checking into the hotel today is the original saviour of cider himself, Mr. Simon Wright.
I was wondering how soon you were going to get that in, Saviours of Cider.
Did you have a sweepstake with the family as to how many seconds
I think,
it take?
yeah, Albert got it. My son, he said, within 0.001 seconds.
Daddy, those gits are going to get you straight away. Mind you, with your increasingly beautiful, long, flowing locks, you know, the Jesus-esque look you've got going on, you truly are the saviour of all of us, let alone just ciders.
Live the brand. That's what you got to do.
Well, I'd know that. I've got a silly moustache. So, hey, go over to you then, Simon. What has the last 7 months or so been like in your cider isolation?
It's been really weird, really, because normally when you come out of something like that's been a huge part of your life and has pretty much taken over your whole, everything you do in your life, your family life, your work life is all encompassing, as you guys all know who do your own thing. To then literally overnight, you just stop. That and also on top of that was the lockdown. So I went in. So I left at the end of October and then into November, and then that was Christmas and then lockdown, and then trying to get some kind of semblance of what you're going to do next when you're just staring at a screen, or you can't go and talk to people, you can't go and see people. Everything that I did when I started Hawke's was about me going to see and meet other people, in America or whatever, and it was like, I like that, I'll take that. I haven't been able to do that, so it's been a weird time from a work perspective, but it's been a great time in terms of being able to spend time at home with my second child, because my first one didn't basically get to see me when she was little. So for that I'm thankful, but please just get me out of this house now.
So one of the things I was going to ask is about, you mentioned it there about basically removing yourself from the thing you set up. Every brewery that I know that's sold, the owners have stayed on. What's it like moving on from the thing that you set up from the start?
Well, I was there for 2. So we actually sold, technically, we sold in April 2018. So I actually stayed, I guess I lasted, 2.5 years after that, which actually, from a kind of a founder staying on time, I think is not so bad, especially in an ecosystem and a fast moving business like Brewdog. I think that that was a pretty good tenure. I mean, look, it's the most middle class problem that anyone's ever going to have is, I'm not trying to say, oh, woe is me. One day I woke up and then I'd sold my business and I didn't have anything to do. But it is like, you don't realize the psychology of it, I guess, until a time passes and you're like, I haven't had any emails from anybody. What's going on? And then it's kind of like, shit, actually we're back to, it's over to you now. So we're back to square one. You got to come up with something else now. So that bit's been that bit's getting interesting now.
Is that how you feel? You feel you've got to come up with something else?
Yeah, because I love what I did. I love what I created. I loved being part of, suddenly going from, big corporate world like ABI and stuff. And then suddenly you're in, everyone in Cider welcomed me with open arms, and suddenly you're in a community and you're just bouncing and you're just vibing off that the whole time, which I'm sure, Grant, you picked up since you come into Cider, what a close community it is and stuff. So suddenly you're part of an ecosystem, which is really cool. And then, and then for me, I miss that, I want to be, I want to have something that I can call my own again, and something that I can, something I can be proud of, and something that I can get going. And, maybe it'd be under a different, not so much pressure or something. I don't know. Let's probably not, to be honest. But, certainly I feel that there's a fire in me that I've got to get out there and kind of keep going, that I've got to scratch that itch.
Well, I mean, let's get straight to it. Do you think that you would get back to Cider once again? Do you have unfinished business with Cider?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. I think when we were, when we kind of did the Brewdog deal, I think we were, as a independent business, I think we were really just, I don't know what you guys think, but I think we were really starting to get into a groove and get momentum as a business. Like we were really kind of, we were really getting noticed, and, sales were going through the roof, and, I guess that's why Brewdog came in for us. But maybe from that perspective, that was, I should have let that run out, for a good while longer, and kind of gone on that ride. Because once you become part of someone else's ecosystem, it does change the nature of the business. It does change things, for better and for worse. I guess that probably, I'd like to kind of do that. But I think also, whether or not it's in a business perspective, or whether or not it's, looking to try and help, help the community a bit more for Cider. Gabe, you and I have spoken for a lot about this, about how basically I feel that that Cider kind of, in a way, as a craft community, needs to get its shit together a little bit, in the sense of, standing tall and getting out there and kind of breaking beyond the mold, of kind of where we are now. And doesn't have to be like craft beer, doesn't have to be that be that kind of world, but I still think there's a huge world for Cider to grow into, for sure.
Talking about cider as an industry, and maybe not comparing itself or setting a path similar to craft beer, but there's a feeling that something needs to happen, or certain things need to happen to push cider. And I guess you felt like you were doing that with Hawks to bring it into a more sort of, I guess, a more mainstream audience, or somewhere that's
well, just a bigger audience. I think, right? I think that's the thing. I don't know if it, I mean, I don't know, mainstream, or just a bigger one. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. In terms of if you think that it's fine, and I guess that word is, it's fine, is the thing that I've never really liked.
It's not fine. I'm not fine with fine.
Well, yeah, but that's what sometimes I kind of felt that when we get somewhere, then actually we end up going back to the thing that we end up going as a community. It's like, oh, actually, fuck off, don't know, just fuck it, things are fine. Let's not worry about it. Let's just crack on. Yeah. We're all doing okay. And
is that because cider makers are a bit more dissociated than brewers? Like, there's no local community really, and where there are localized, a lot of them have completely opposing opinions and don't actually chat to each other.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is, but then maybe that's the thing that is also, which is amazing about it, but also the thing that can, in a way, be holding it back to some extent. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like we've all been to, you go to America and we all come, when we go to something like a cider con, we all come back and we're like, oh, well, why couldn't our Why isn't it like that over here? Why we loved it. We had an amazing time. Everyone loved each other. We were hanging out. There's 1 million people there. There's thousands of people at this gig, and everyone's just waxing lyrical about cider. And you leave so pumped, and you come back and you go, NACM, great. You go, oh, there's a tweet about Hogan's, and now there's another one, a tweet about Magners. Enjoy your cider today. Cheers. Thanks.
But then so what? So good. I mean, I guess what is it about the US then that they're doing right, and what did you bring back when you went to the US and put into Hawks to try and change that?
I mean everything. Literally everything. Like, I'm not a clever guy, right? I literally, I sat down and I spoke to Nat at Rev Nats. I spoke to Ryan. I went to Portland. I just engrossed myself in that for a week or so. And you just leave like with all these ideas about actually you can make a cidery in wherever you want. Well, that's technically, I found that was a lot harder than I thought actually, but let's come back to that another time. It's like, oh shit, actually.
You can do anything except that.
Actually, except from where we're going to press it. But you leave with a sense of they see it as a career. They really see it as a fully fledged, full on industry and career. And I think that, for me, we are getting there, but it feels that they get to places way quicker than we do. And I just always have this massive fear, especially now with things like seltzers and stuff, because I'm a business nerd. I love the industry, and I follow this stuff really closely, and I just worry, like, what's happened over there, even though they put all this effort into stuff, they're getting annihilated by seltzers and stuff over in the US, right? And generally speaking, not necessarily in all local fields, but I just don't want that to happen to us. And I want that to mean that people kind of want to grow. It's like seeing Pulp go into Tesco's. It was like, fucking yes, get in.
Yeah. We all said the same.
Totally. Fucking yes. Totally. Like, great for the Tesco buyer that they've actually kind of, taken what for them, probably what they see as a risk, and for the Pulp guys too, and that's just, we need more pulps, that's just what we need.
Well, it's a good chat for you because of Hawks, and we said like that kind of mainstream, and then that changed that kind of discussion. But with the supermarket element, for a lot of small independent people, that closes off the small independent retail because they go, oh, that's readily available. I want the special stuff. How did you tread the line of like what's readily available, what's accessible, and what's good, and the balance between?
I think it's just a natural like curve of the business, because me, I would have come in and hand delivered off the back of the van, years ago, back into your shops and
you did into the Cock Tavern at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So you do that, and then I guess for some people you grow out of like being the trendy brand or the cool, whatever that might be, or and that's cool. And then you just kind of like, if you want to, this is what I mean. If you want to, you don't have to, break the seal and just keep going and keep trying to get bigger and keep trying to work faster. And I think that, for Hawks, doing things like specials and the Bermondsey Barrels things and stuff, like, some people will see that as an attempt to try and do that, but others who have got a real kind of niche shop, bottle shop, probably will just say, do you know what, good on them, let's find the new Hawks, and I think that's just how our industry works. But I think the thing that I hope that we had anyway was a degree of like, we didn't just skip the journey, we went on the journey. We were nothing, Gabe came to the place in Forest Gate, there was, tiny, so you go on the journey and people back you because, they're just into it. So, yeah. So I think it's just an evolution, really.
And what you were, you personally and Hawks, in terms of breaking the mold, not just of being an urban cidery and of London, but of the aesthetic and the language and the slightly stick two fingers up to the establishment and everything else, embodied by, in bright neon lights above the bar, no less, the saviors of cider.
I only did that. I only knew because I only knew it was my mind. That's the only reason why I did it.
I hate it. And it's not because you're not. The mix is the venue as well, the bar, it's a fucking savior. Like, it really was a market point.
This is the point, is that what's it going to take for more enterprises and businesses such as yours, as Hawks, to come to the fore, and in terms of have that dynamism and that attitude. Does it take just individuals such as yourself? What does it mean?
Yes, it definitely takes loads of individuals. If I could replicate me today, I would absolutely.
I think you answered that question for him, Gabe. That was quite a good one.
Gabe's question: why are you so handsome and good?
I know,
I'll take the £10 later.
Timing, firstly, like the Saviours of Cider thing is quite funny because after a while, like I kind of did it like slightly tongue in cheek to start, and then once Tom Oliver just kept calling me like savvy or the save or whatever he kept calling me all the time, I was like, this is it, I'm sticking with this, because if he keeps calling, if I've got him calling me savvy or whatever he was calling me all the time, then I'm gonna stick to it. But it was to do that, like also have a bit of fun, and that was also the thing that I wanted everyone to feel when they came into the cidery and they came across the brand, that we're going to be a bit forthright, and we are going to have fun doing it, and we're going to have fun going on the journey with everybody, and don't take ourselves too seriously and stuff. And I was really lucky, like with the guys that got in, and having people like Roberto, it kind of felt like those things just made it all feel right, and yeah. So I think you have to be lucky. I think there is a degree of luck in growing any business to any kind of size. But definitely, for sure, like why there isn't anyone else doing it now in town. Like we've proven it can be done, and hopefully more people want to do it, and more people want to do it in. I know Manchester's got the is it Temperance?
Temperance
Street, yeah, Temperance and stuff. So like technically it can be done.
Do you think that's maybe the way forward for cider? Is more urban?
I mean, look,
cideries.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think that the thing is, you have to take cider to people, and that's why we chose the Bermondsey Beer Mile. It wasn't, I wasn't going to put it anywhere. I had it in Forest Gate because I couldn't afford anything else at the time, when we first started. And then it was like, I had to get on the Bermondsey Beer Mile because nobody ever was like, oh, I know, I'm going to go to the Bermondsey Beer Mile and have a cider. But it was the perfect coincidental, like, oh, there's a cidery here. Why don't I fucking go in and have a cider because I've had so much beer? I'll go in and change my palate, and then you've got them. And if you can grab them in a place like that with so much footfall, like that place to us was unbelievable for getting us noticed and getting people through the door.
The other aspect I'm going to say for you, Simon, obviously, is tax, of course. Everyone's favourite topic here at the Neutral Cider Hotel.
I was waiting.
Tax. Waiting for it.
God, if everyone's not turned off already, this is perfect.
No, this is the sexy bit. This is the sexy bit.
What's the old owner of that urban cidery got to say about tax? Go on.
What's Jesus got to say about tax?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm very nearly finishing Modern British Cider by Gabe Cook.
Your book is a joke, mate. Your book is a fucking joke.
Don't let it be. It'll be 6 months down the drain. And I've come into the section, which we will talk about in a second, Simon, around sort of small cider makers' duty relief proposals and opportunity in the UK. It effectively exists in the USA. And if you make up to 2.8 million litres of cider, you could get a $103,000 tax discount every single year that they are able to then invest back into their business with employees and tanks and people on the ground, etc. I presume this is something that you would be in favour of in the UK.
Well, 100%. I mean, but this goes back to the problem that there isn't. Craft cider makers, there isn't really a voice that I think that shouts loud enough at that level to make that change happen.
Jesus is pretty loud. Maybe you're just. If only we had a say. I mean, is this all just a really, really intricate ploy to get you put yourself in this position?
Absolutely. The crucifix outside Parliament Square. Stigmata is coming as we speak it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Stigmata is a great name for a cider. Raspberry blush cider.
Oh,
Stigmata cider. That's got it.
It's like duly noted.
I mean, look, but that's so. Of course. I mean, that was the thing that changed the beer industry in 2004. When they brought in Brewers Relief. That isn't. You put all the brands aside. That's what changed the industry overnight, and that's what allowed all these guys to pop up. And the fact that you get over 7,000 litres. And then you pay the same amount of tax as Strongbow, who chaptalize, who water it down, concentrate it, etc., and you're trying to make full juice stuff or whatever. The fact that you have to pay the same amount of tax for them and then try and compete in the same venue to try and get on the bar is a joke. It is an absolute travesty to the industry that this hasn't changed. And I know it's been looked at, but I can't even say, yeah, I mean, look, we went to a meeting about it, and that just the next day it was all about juice content after leaving a meeting saying we were going to do something about the tax. So yeah, so look, long answer to a short question is absolutely, we've got to do something about it.
And sort of slightly segueing into another associated topic, one that's very close to Grant's heart actually, is around particular flavoured ciders, especially the old pineapple cider that I remember coming into the cidery and seeing Rad and Roberto actually chopping whole pineapples that you'd obviously bought at a discount rate from the fruit and veg guy down around the corner. Are those kind of ciders, do you think, that you enjoy? Do you think they're the future?
Fruit cider? Never take off.
Tom Yum Seltzer is the future.
Hey, can we talk about fucking Tom Yum cider?
I think from the two things, right? I think if you're going to go down the tax route, the first thing to start is you put it on. You start with apple, obviously, because that's 100% what craft cider makers should be their first and biggest product, right? So I would just start there, and then the whole made wine thing is just a storm that your listeners don't deserve to go down. But I think fruit cider is not the thing that you need to tackle from day one. I think you need to just if you're going to do it, just get apple done first and go from there, I think.
So you said on Twitter a few months ago, in this thread of what's wrong with the cider market,
giving it all
one
that.
of the things was
well, I thought I didn't have anything else to do, so
just put the kids to bed.
17 tweets.
Yeah. I didn't do the thread. I didn't do the thread emoji. I nearly did, just to full wankify it.
So you half wankified your Twitter feed.
I reckon I'm probably the biggest wankifier, but I'm learning.
No, but I think you raised some good points. I thought particularly interested in the tax, but I think we've covered that in about 3 minutes, so that's okay. But one being, there's not enough new cider makers entering the market. What can we do about that? And how do you encourage new cider makers to enter the market?
Well, I was just saying before, you have to make it a viable. You got to make it a viable business for them. I think just a lot of people look at the economics of trying to make decent cider and just give up on it because, you look at the competition and the reality is what people are prepared to pay for cider. Martin will know. He's sold at the at the top end, right? And that's at like the 1% of the 1% in terms of people who know that.
And there's still a ceiling there.
And there's exactly for cider, definitely. And I think as an industry, as a group of cider makers, the responsibility is on us, the ones that have been. Not us, obviously. I'm not, but the ones that are out. It's a responsibility on them to try and help that process and help bring more people in, because that old expression. What's the thing about high
tides raise all ships?
That's it. Yeah, that is so true, because you need people listen when they know that it's a tsunami of cool stuff coming their way, and they just get bowled over by it. Like craft beer's done and distilling's done. Every 5 seconds you're hit with someone new or someone doing something different, and and cider, given its size, what is it, $3 billion market or something, it just doesn't have that. But that's down to the economics, and I only think that cider makers can change that, not the fucking the cartel that is the NACM. It has to be the ones that really kind of care about the small guy.
Well, we've brought up the tweet then, and it's an interesting point, because it immediately read as quite a negative thread of things that could have been changed. But how do you feel being a cider maker that moved out of that category, then going, oh, this is what you could have done? It's like, mate, you could have done that. Like, why didn't you action that change? Yeah, well, I mean, that's a fair challenge. I think to some extent, I did quite a bit as for one business, as Gabe was saying earlier, like in terms of trying to rally and trying to kind of get people on the journey with you. That's what I realize is it takes time. And in hindsight, I look back and I say it takes time, right? And that's not the thing that I've always been great at. So in hindsight, I can look that you can't just bludgeon people to think the way that you think. That's, that is just a reality, and you learn that over time. So, for me, now I'm outside it, I think I probably have a better opportunity to try and help that process, and I can do it as an objective view. And maybe perhaps people will kind of listen a bit more now, because I haven't really got any skin in the game. There's nothing in it for me apart from my desire to try and help cider get to where I think it should be.
Did you? So you clearly, what I'm getting is that you've got a good business head. So when you set it up, were you always thinking, okay, I can set this up to a point and sell it on? Was that your thinking?
I think, Grant, if you start a business with the view that you're gonna sell it, you don't build a good business to start off with, because you're always worried about, like, I would not have said, like, perfect example, I would not have said and done half the things that I said and did if I was like all worried about what ABI were going to think about it, and they were going to come, if they didn't like the tone that we were using and stuff like that. So I think you always kind of hope that at some point you might get something back, because as we all know, like, it's a slog. But certainly, like, I was really loving what we were doing, and we got it to a point where actually it was a profitable business and
Profitable cider business.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What, you truly are the saviour. One in a million.
I would have given it to people. Oh yeah, exactly. I would have been sharing it with everybody. But
Simon, sometimes again, sort of going back to some of the challenge and the opprobrium that you've faced from certain people within the sort of cider community and things like with the donated fruit and the accusations that people were just sort of saying, most of your cider is made from what kind of fruit, and that you were just playing off the fact that you were kind of doing donated fruit. Is this a tall poppy syndrome for cider, or for you or London or Hawks?
Well, I think like any business, I think what you try and do is you try and realize early on what you can do that makes you stand out, which makes you different and makes you stand out, right? So the journey that we went on there was, especially with the donated fruit, was that, I didn't, at that point, we didn't have any, we started as a contract, like everyone knows, like when we first started Urban Orchard, we were having a contract produced for us at Aspel's, right? You can speak to ask my wife, like, I literally would spend weird days and weeks out during August all the way through to October I dig those apples, like, they were got, the percentage that went into the juice, like, I never sat up there and said, this is 100% donated apples from London. What we said was, this is what we do and this is how we get them, and this goes into our cider. And that was the germ of what Hawks really became, in the sense of, then not only did Urban Orchard then grow into an urban brand, producing 1 million litres plus in an urban environment in the middle of London. So, like, I think, like anything, the idea progressed and moved on as we got bigger. So I don't see any issue with that, but maybe people might have a different view.
What can we talk about you personally, how you feel now and how you felt with the whole moving on from Hawks? You've sort of stumbled over we and they, and was there a bit of a crisis after you left, something that you built up yourself? Was this kind of when you moved away from Hawks and left Hawks, who were you? Did you feel there was an existential crisis there? Was there a crisis of identity? Was like there's something that you'd worked so hard for, and it became you, and then all of a sudden it's gone?
Yeah, I think as I said at the start, I think it's, I try and reflect on that it's a nice, in a way, is an okay problem to have, but definitely that, my health, definitely my mental health in terms of, as you say, reflecting on myself and who I am, that definitely, that's definitely happened over the last 6 months. And I think actually it's taken this time for me to find that the fight back again, and the desire to want to go out there and rediscover that person again.
The reason I ask this is from my perspective, in with the band and that I was in, and that's all of a sudden became not a thing anymore, and I struggled with that, and I didn't know who I was and who I was meant to be, and I see that in what you've done, that you all of a sudden you and not to joke about it, but you were the savior of cider, and all of a sudden you're not, and you're passing that mantle on, and what you must have thought literally, you know, the day after you signed that contract and you passed it over, you must have went, well, who the fuck am I now?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I believe, you know, I guess I've kind of still believed that Simon, not the savior of cider, I guess I believe that sort of Simon, is more than that. You know, Simon is that. What I always said to people is you can't let this thing that's happened in your life now, as in Hawks, I can't let that be the thing that completely defines who I am for the next 30 years, because, you know, I'm just touching on nearly 40, and I've got a lot of you know, gas left in there, and it's not for, and I just don't, and I think there's other things I can do. There's other things that people can come across me for, you know. I just think that to say that, you know, that was me, and I'm going to now worry about who that person was and where he's gone. That's gone now. That to me is done. You know, I'm moving on, and I'm going to in 3 days after my crucifixion, I'm gonna roll back that motherfucking stone, and I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna come out and go wherever I go.
Well, wherever you do go, as you are going in your vehicle of whatever description, and just you like are Jesus. Looking just like Jesus in his BMW M3, you are then looking at one final glance in the rear view mirror, and you see the new Hawks branding. What do you think?
I'm contractually obliged to say it's great.
No,
this is producer's cat.
I stick stickers on my mates. That's
I can see why they've done. I can see why they've done it. You know, I can see.
Be fucking honest, man.
No, honest. That is my honest. My honest answer is that if you're looking at kind of starting afresh and moving on, then just fucking change. You know, to just change it all, and that's what they've done. You know, whether it's for me or if it's not for me, you know, I can understand why they've done it, because a lot of the old stuff, you know, was, you know, especially, you know, Eddie and the symbol and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, that was kind of my alter ego persona thing coming out in a thing. So
hang on, sorry, are you saying that the Eddie was the name of the skull?
Yeah, Eddie was the name of the skull.
Is that, are you an Iron Maiden fan then, Simon?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's exactly, again, I told you at the beginning, I'm not very clever. I just take other people's ideas.
But for me, the old branding, it suits, because of the skulls, it's not Beavertown, it suits Weirdbeard, of like, because all the cans were dark and black and it had the skull shape and everything. And I like the new branding, but my problem with the new branding is it marries it too much to Brewdog. It isn't a new start for Hawks. It's a new start for a Brewdog cidery. Do you know what I mean? That's how I view it.
Yeah, but I think mine actually, like, I think that could actually end up being a really good thing for Brewdog and for Hawks, because I think, let's face it, like, everybody knows the name Brewdog far more than they do Hawks, and I think if they can probably pull it closer to it, then there probably stands more of a chance of getting a bit more well known. I.e., it's a Brewdog cider called Hawks, you know, not Hawks. I just don't. To be honest with you, I find it hard to. I don't look at it. I don't try not to look at it that much anymore, really, because it's like an old girl. Feels like an old, you know, it feels like an ex-wife or an old girlfriend that you really love, that you kind of.
Who's your new squeeze? What's happening?
So it's a couple of things, like, certainly one of the things I kind of want to use the show for is to try and shout out about the need, and if guys want it, and cider wants to do it, and craft cider wants to do it, is to try and get ourselves back around the table and talk about getting the band together and, you know, trying to look out for ourselves on a bigger scale. Because I do think that the time's definitely right for it. So I want to be part of that. I want to try and help that if I can. I've always said that you know, there needs to be something in it for everybody. There needs to be something in it for cider makers to want to start something new and to start a new organisation. And I think that we kind of have to try and work out how we do that and not get caught up in too much of the nuances and the politics that means that we kind of shut the door on it before we've even opened it. So I'd love to do that.
Well, can you do that, please?
Because I mean, look,
I'm being honest. Like, I think having spoken to you now and having seen you on Twitter, like, I feel like you're the person to do that, and someone needs to take control of that. And there's too many sort of cider makers doing little things within their communities, but they don't, like you said on Twitter, they don't have the power, or they don't have someone who's really going to take it to the people that need to make that difference. So can you do it?
Yeah, I'm up for it.
I'm up for it. I mean, like, it needs to happen, and I agree with that. That was the one thing on your Twitter thread.
The one thing?
The one thing, yes, exactly.
No, that was
emoji thread.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, but it was the one. It was the one thing that I was like, yeah. The one thing I was like, that's completely correct. It's like there's no the Small Brewers Association does amazing things, and there's National Association of Cider Makers that does nothing for craft.
No, it does do
makers,
things.
Right?
I told you before. It tweets about. It has a picture of a side. I've got to watch. I mean, Gabe, you would never have done you'd never have done one of those tweets, would you?
No.
Doesn't even know.
No.
Anyway, I'm up. I'm 100% up for it, and as I said, it just needs the desire now of people to want to want to do it. And it's going to take a bit of it's going to take a bit of work. It's going to take a bit of hassle. It's going to take a bit of trust, I think, in it, and because no one, it's a new thing. But I just hope people are up for it out there and want to get involved.
At this point, we would normally say, what website should people to head to? But I suspect in your case, that it's your Twitter handle. What is it?
Yeah, my Twitter handle is @ChiefHawker, and again, I probably need to change that.
Oh yeah, we haven't gone too far from the apple doesn't fall too far from the sold
It's like the
tree.
apple, David Brent, isn't it? Like, just get what, you're going to ban the dog? Yeah.
Just turning up at Hawk, so I'm here to work, guys.
Yeah.
Chief, it says in my hand.
Oh, here he is, saviour.
Yeah,
walking in.
Simon, thank you for joining us and for sharing with your experience of being this cider entrepreneur, of being the saviour, and of your experience of setting up one of the most influential cider makers that this country has had over the last decade or so. I very much hope that you get the opportunity to come down to the Cider Salon in Bristol Saturday the 14th of August. Come down, we'll have a bit of a reunion and shoot the breeze, and maybe you'll start your bid for craft cider presidential domination.
The Prince
and
of
I'll
Leaflets.
just be
The Chief Hawker.
But for now, Simon, thank you so much. Well sailed to you, my friend. Cheers.
Cheers. Sail.
Good to see you. Take it easy. Okay, now here at the Neutral Cider Hotel, we've got a speak pipe. Hooray!
Finally.
And apparently.
Fucking finally.
Come on, people. Keep on.
What you actually
into
mean
your
is,
pipes.
we're rifling through that many speak pipes, we can't keep up with them.
Eleanor keeps sending them.
Thank you, Grant. I know.
Hello, it's me, Martin.
Irish leprechaun? What was that?
Well, that's her. That's Eleanor's impression of you.
Okay, so you're impersonating Eleanor after I've impersonated. Okay, this is getting too far.
So this week we've got a speak pipe from Sam at Vessel, I do believe, and it's all about home cider making. Let's have a listen.
Hi, hoteliers. It's Sam Condon here. When I'm not selling lovely beer and cider, I also like to dabble in a bit of homebrew. I'd like to have a go at making some cider as well. So what's the best way for me to try and make some cider when I don't have access to an orchard or apples? Is there some way to get my hands on some decent juice? Okay, thank you.
So there we go. Thanks, Sam. All about home cider making. What's the best way to approach it? It's a good question. You know, the fact is that apples do grow pretty much everywhere. There'll be fruit in gardens. There are lots of cider makers, including Hawks, who take donated fruit and local fruit and unwanted fruit. The actual source of the apples is less of the issue. It's if you're making cider at home, it's converting the apples into juice. That is the bit that, you know, costs a little bit of money, basically. You need a mill and you need a press. You need a way of chopping up the fruit, turning it into a pulp, squeezing it and extracting the juice. If you go to like sort of small providers of sort of small presses like Vigo presses and places like that, you know, if you're going to do this every single year and if you're going to get your mates involved or the local community, it's worth investing a few quid because it is just lush and really good fun and a great way to sort of get together with people. So that's a great way to start, I would say.
All right. Well, what I was going to say is, Sam, in Vessel in Plymouth, there's some cider makers down in Devon that you could get in contact with. So basically, my first step would be to get in touch with cider makers in your area, if there are them, because that's a great asset. If you go down and help out on the day, you can take some juice and all that. Like, there's ways that you can agree it. But also, if you aren't in a fortunate cider area, you can use culinary apples, dessert varieties, and the such, and mash them up, and you can buy your press, like Gabe says. But if you're going to do that, make ciders for what you've got. Don't try and make a single variety, big tannic thing if you've got none of the apples for it. So lean into kind of the environment that you've got and the apples that grow there.
Definitely.
Yes, that's basically what I was going to say was mash up the apples. You can use a bucket and a big
old stick.
A big stick. You can use a juicer, and it will be extremely laborious. But all you need is apple juice and a vessel to put that apple juice in. And you will be able to ferment cider.
By apple juice, you mean unpasteurized, like raw apple juice, not just you can't.
Yeah, sorry, I mean juiced apples.
Because you can make it with like fresh pressed apple juice from your local apple juice maker, as long as it's unpasteurized.
Let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
So. Go on, Martin.
Okay, so if you're lucky enough to live in an area like, say, Kent, where there's loads of people juicing apples, and you can go pick up apple juice in the season that's just been freshly pressed, you can actually pitch a yeast in there. It can be as simple as taking the sugars from that apple juice and pitching a yeast and leaving it get to the temperature that you need it to in a controlled vessel. But the joy for a lot of people is mashing the apples and the whole ceremony. So basically, do what A, you want, B, what you can, and C, if you're like me, what your partner will let you do in the house, because you share a space and you should be responsible.
Absolutely. And in terms of an actual producer, if you go to lowercourtfarm.co.uk, fantastic Herefordshire cider apple grower, they can send you apples if you're of a scale whereby you've got your own mill and press. But if you don't, then they can supply even relatively sort of smaller quantities of juice to you all around the country as well. So you can experiment with different varieties or just together. To be honest, even if you did, and I'm not necessarily recommending it makes the best cider, even if you did purchase
pineapples,
any kind of apple juice from the supermarket,
Pineapples.
in terms of...
Tom Yum.
and even Tom Yum. You could just the act of practicing the fermentation is a really, really good thing. Understanding what happens, how does it happen, playing with an airlock, playing with the hydrometer, understanding when something has finished fermentation, when the sediment drops to the bottom, the act of racking. It's all good practice, I would say. All right. Well, Sam, I think that hopefully has given you some constructive pointers for how you can explore cider making at home. Get out there, go find the fruit, go find the juice, go start your cider making journey. It is super exciting. So there we go. Thanks again to Simon Wright, the savior, the original savior of cider himself, for joining us here at the Neutral Cider Hotel for an awesome chat. We could have gone on for another hour or so, I reckon. We'll just have to do it in person at the Bristol Cider Salon. And again, hope to see you all there too. And if you enjoy our podcast and want to help, please do spread the word about the Neutral Cider Hotel. Tell your friends about it and encourage them to listen. You can also follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast app. It really does help. And please find and follow us on social media. We are at Neutral Cider Hotel on Instagram and Facebook, and Neutral Cider Pod on Twitter. And as always, just like Sam, you can leave us a voicemail with your questions and comments at speakpipe.com/Neutral Cider Hotel. And obviously, do check out our website, neutralciderhotel.com, for all episodes we have recorded thus far. There we go. Another week, another episode here at Neutral Cider Hotel. Cheers, everybody.